do want to speak on the whole like WAP situation with the song, and it's like the disgust from people is impeccable. I'm sorry, I'm kind of digressing, but I do want to speak on that because like ultimately it's so funny to me as a black female, but as a female, someone who holds a vagina, like I think it's very funny that all of a sudden when we talk about our vaginas it's a problem, but dudes can talk about hitting females, you know, not hitting physically, hitting sexually, or you know, tearing the cat up or whatever the case may be, but when we talk about the power that we hold, even though dudes talk about the power we hold all the time and brag about that or whatever, we can't talk about it. It's disgusting. It's, you know, not ladylike. It's immoral. It's not teaching females the right message. Then what is all of rap doing for males since the 80s, 90s, whatever? Like, let's not talk about Willie D. Bro was talking about smacking hoes and all sorts of stuff. Like, you know, like, I can give you a few rappers that talk crazy about females and having sex, but it's like, people have such a problem with females being sexually empowered. And I find that being someone who has danced, somebody who is free in that sense of not feeling like I need to always censor myself, absolutely not. Why is it a problem to acknowledge sex appeal? Why is it a problem to acknowledge that this thing, sex, which definitely rules people, men specifically, can give you such and such power? Why is that so frowned upon when every other song that's on the radio, that's in movies, that's in pop culture, whatever that's popularized, that's number ones, all of those, or a majority of them have to do with sex, demeaning women, talking about their skill sets or lack thereof, or whatever the case may be. But when females talk, I don't know, I think it's just so funny. It's so contradictory. It's the same thing as if a man has sex with a lot of females, he's a man. If a female has sex with a lot of men, she's a slut.
We gonna have to talk about that one.
Yeah, I was just about to
say.
Will,
because I'm honestly interested in seeing your perspective, but like I have my own view on it.
Yeah, no. Since we here like, now, and I wasn't trying to put my boy in the spot because I seen a lot from this dude on to the right of me right now, and you know we've had our words regarding this, so you know we'll try to keep it, you know, as short as possible. But do you have a
yeah, for sure.
Talk to me.
Just not necessarily a rebuttal, but like just my perspective in general about the WAP video and I guess female explicit sexuality and everything. No. Here it go. Because I look at it from a bunch of different perspectives.
As do I.
Initially, the nigga in me loves it. You feel me? The nigga in me loves, you know, the ass, the booty. I love the WAP. I love all that, and you know, and then some. So just on a carnal level, I enjoy it very much. And so when it first came out, and I seen like all the negative reaction from it, I was like teasing and playing off of it, because like on social media, you know, I'm more or less a troll. But I love
that's fair. I could see that now that you told me that. You never told me that before, but I could, and you're a good one.
Yeah. So, but the video, I love, like I just the nigga in me loves that type of stuff. You know, I love women that's free with their sexuality. I mean, it benefits me greatly.
Right.
Like all that stuff. And then, you know, if you want to turn it another way, we could look at it on, because hip hop is so influential to the youth. You can't look at it as them glorifying explicit sexuality is going to negatively impact the female youth of young girls and things like that. And then when that movie on Netflix, Cuties, came out, it was like just paired up perfectly. Perfect timing got paired up.
And I never said nothing, but how, I don't understand how that correlates though.
Well, this is the way that I look at it. Any argument against like anybody criticizing Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion for WAP saying men do it and all that stuff, that's 100% fair and it's 100% accurate, because hip hop influences the youth in ways that no other art form, really no other genre, no other medium does. Like not your mom, not your parents, not school, not church, barely TV. Like what we see and what we hear in music, especially rap music, it kind of like more or less empowers our personality. So just me growing up in like South Central LA and looking at like the music that we was listening to and how it kind of like influenced us, our style of dress, how we talked, how we related to one another, how we related to women in our life and everything like that. I saw I won't even say negative, I guess you could say negative impact, but I saw like the undeniable impact it had on us. So now that I'm older and I have like more perspective, and now that women are, I guess, stepping more so into the, what would you call it? Like I don't know. They stepping more in the center field when it comes to, especially when it comes to rap music. So now I feel sort of like the old man who was like, yo, that's making them kids act a certain way. Mm-hmm. So if I see like Meg Thee Stallion or Cardi B shaking that, even though I like it, I can't say, yo, this is probably going to influence young girls to act like that. Mm-hmm. And I see how especially young girls acting like that, I see how that can create a lot of opportunities for even more negative shit to happen. So that's like my intellectual critique of it.
So my issue with the backlash to WAP, number one, anytime I see that type of backlash and it's two black women on the forefront with that type of power, I automatically, get into my defense mode because of how they're attacked anyway. And I know you, bro. I know like that's not your intent, but just naturally, that's what comes with it. A black woman doing anything positive or negative, if it's taken a certain way, the backlash is always going to be far more than if it was anybody else, including if it was a black male. And regarding what you said about like men and even you, like men talking about the same thing, to even take it a step further, I think especially in hip hop, the hypocrisy I seen with that, like especially like the older 40, 50-year-old cats, like the hip hop that they came up on, that I came up on, like literally every negative connotation under the sun you can find in hip hop. I don't care what it is, from murder to rape to trafficking to selling dope, whatever it is, like you can find, and we're probably the only genre that's like that, unless you guys can correct me if I'm wrong.
We sell our own dysfunction in rap music for sure.
Yeah, so I mean, for us to glorify so much, like if think about our all-time hip hop greats, or
but also I want to add, I don't know what the big I don't really get why it's such a point of outrage, right? But I know it's like a very a volatile subject, but we've had like female rappers rap about stuff that's even more,
which is what I don't get.
I feel like part of where the problem lies is that society in itself has this hierarchy for men doing certain things, being able to get away with a lot of things, and women having to be Susie Homemaker, having to be, the not provider, but having to be the nurturer, having to be modest in a certain way, or else you're a prostitute essentially, because that's how things happen at some point. And moving forward, it's like I definitely feel like there's a hypocrisy when it comes to it.
I think people like Cardi B are also breaking that down right now, because when you got like, I mean, I feel differently than most men do. Like most niggas hate like the City Girls and Sweeties and Cardi B. I think they're actually helping y'all because it's giving y'all more empowerment. You could touch on that because I seen you say you don't feel like it's empowerment. I feel like it's empowerment as far as because like niggas been dogging black women for I don't know how long in every way possible, and I could speak for personal situations I know or public, whatever the case may be. So for y'all to go through that for so long, and then y'all get to a point where it's just like well, you have women on the forefront that's just saying like, F y'all niggas, or y'all don't need these niggas, you know what I'm saying? Like, just do your spit. Now, there's issues with that, but, for what you guys are breaking out of, I don't see no issue with that at all. And I think the confidence level that it gives, certain young women, you know what I'm saying? Like, of course, again, it's hip hop, so there's always like negative connotations, and you gotta know what to pick and choose. It's the same like I had to explain to my little brothers with Nipsey when he passed away. They were listening to him more and kind of getting influenced by that in a certain way, but they were taking his stuff differently than I was. they hear the neighborhood crib. They hear, you know what I'm saying? They hear, shooting a nigga. They hear those parts. I take the, black entrepreneurship, the power, so people take different stuff, and that doesn't fall on the artist. That falls on how you're coming up and who's guiding who's guiding
and who's receiving it.
Exactly.
Ultimately, I feel like it's interesting, like I said, that women are being criticized so much for something that I feel like part of the problem or part of the reason why certain groups of men be upset is the fact that the shoe fits. People don't like getting told about themselves. That's a common fact. Sometimes people just don't like being told about certain traits. Even if they know about it themselves, it'll still make them defensive. It'll still make them feel some type of way because somebody else has pointed it out, even if they pointed it out for themselves for however long.
Right.
And I feel like that goes with sexually free females, city girls, Cardi B and Megan Thee Stallion. We speaking on niggas being whipped, so to speak, how pussy can control niggas, how the power that we can have, the way we can have niggas cash out just because of how we look or just because of how our attitude is or whatever the case may be. It's like,
because there's niggas that do it.
Exactly. And some dudes don't like the aspect of like, oh, we got it like that. They don't like acknowledging or being real about the fact that they got it like that, because in what toxic masculinity is like, oh, well, you're a simp, you're whipped if that's the case. Like, no, you know how to take care of your female. In a certain extent, I don't require that as a female. However, I can see the appeal in wanting a provider, wanting somebody who is able. I would like somebody to be able to have the means to take me on a date. I'm not picky, though. So a date could be going to the park, picking up some paints and, doing something like that, or just chilling, listening to music, whatever. But it's like, I can understand where some females are coming from with being a little high maintenance in the sense of like, oh, well, I shouldn't have to do this. However, I can see where dudes are coming from, looking at different perspectives. To an extent, which may sound contradictory, but some females who are so bougie or so in the sense of like, you have to have this. You have to have this credit score, this car, this job, this amount of money in your bank account. I'm not like that. Like, everything's circumstantial.
Right.
I'm not expecting everybody to be a Future, Chris Brown, or Drake, or any of that nature. I'm not expecting them to be a baller. I'm a reasonable ass human adult. So it's like, yeah, things happen. I don't go anywhere. That's just me speaking on me, though. Ultimately, I feel like it's unfair sometimes to dudes and females, but definitely dudes from a female perspective, that they are expected to do so much sometimes because we're humans just like they are. That same breath where we want equality in the workspace and everything else, we need to be okay in certain situations of having that same playing field of like, why should you be held or have a higher quality of life or higher behavior done towards you than me because you have a vagina? Pros and cons to everything. It's hard because I look at it from a female perspective, being empowered in that sense, but I also look at it from a general objective perspective of like, why should they feel obligated to do something that a female hasn't earned? Have you shown that you're worth that kind of behavior?
Right.
Or are you just expecting this and being all high and mighty because of what you have been able to get, not showing what you are worthy of getting? That's a disconnect for me.
Yeah, and to add to his point, last thing I'll say about the WAP thing of like, we've heard much worse, in the past from women. That was my first thought. If like I don't know why, but for some reason, I happen to see, I follow Megan Thee Stallion, so I happen to see the video probably like 10 minutes after it came out or hour after it came out, whatever. So I seen it quick, didn't think nothing of it until the reaction. Absolutely. But if I would have seen the reactions first, I would have thought like, I was gonna see tip drill times 10.
Right.
And the video and the song, like I've even like, no cap, I've seen like certain older dudes say like that's the most like explicit video they've ever seen, explicit lyrics that they
you haven't?
I have not. I've seen bits and pieces.
It's a bunch of
it's really not that bad.
The video's not that bad.
I don't see it being that explicit or hard hardcore.
Honestly, what made the video go so viral was that Cardi B line. She's like, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you how I got this ring.
Oh,
and I think the fact that is Cardi B. Cardi's like a superstar right now. Because if that was somebody else, I don't think it gets that same.
I get you.
You know what I'm saying? However, like it's just the fact that it's her right now, and they probably felt. A lot of dudes probably felt this way anyway, so they kind of used her as like the poster child to go at that, topic.
Also, I'll say right now, and probably another thing that makes it different compared to like other female acts in the past is that we have a crazy battle of the sexes going on right now on the internet. So that line coupled with just the imagery that they presenting, and then kind of like the tone that's been going on, because like right now it's like, since women are, I guess, I don't know, more empowered now, if you will, the tone or the language being used, like, we need a nigga for what? And if you do have a nigga, it's like,
make sure he's useful.
Yeah.
Exactly.
He got to be cashing out. He got to be cashing out, buy me this, buy me that, buy me that. So, for Cardi B to say, I don't cook, I don't clean, but let me tell you, I got this ring, I felt like that negatively stimulated a lot of men and even a lot of women who are, who still believe, I guess, in traditional roles and stuff like that. And that kind of like just set it off even more so, because it's just like, it's pretty much everything that is in social media can like just really poking the bull.
I could see that. Like, yeah, maybe that line did, take it a step further. Because as far as just nasty, explicit lyrics, like, have y'all seen Trina and Kim's career? Like,
yeah. No, I remember.
I've heard some of their songs since hearing WAP again, and have to be reminded, like, wait a minute, like, and to be fair, Kim did get a lot of backlash, like,
but that's fine. But this ain't new. I mean, regardless,
it's really not.
Rap as a genre is heavily influenced in sex. Male and female, but definitely male. I think about
Too Short.
Listening to Scar, like that's my shit. But or listening to Hoochie Mama, 2 Live Crew. I listened to that song and was like, ooh, this is high key problematic. I'm like, look what Uncle they're openly doing. Let's call a spade a spade. They're openly talking about inconsensual sex, like, just being like, well, fucking, you need to pop that pussy, this isn't that, whatever. It's like, when I listen to it, I'm like, ooh, I can see the problematic aspects in this song. Right. However, I don't necessarily, it's not triggering for me, it's not, something that offends me in any way. However, when it comes to WAP and hearing what you're saying, I don't feel like that's a line. I do know that that's a line that sticks out. But I feel like between that and having platforms like TikTok, where it's like a dance is made off of everything. That's where not only competition comes in, but also where going viral comes in. Because it's like, there's the WAP challenge or whatever, that's for a certain part of the song. That's not for all the song. That's not for different parts of the song. That's for a certain part of the song. It does have that lyric in it, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. But whatever the case may be, it's like, this isn't new. Men can talk about it all day. I seen this one TikTok where a girl went through, and it was like a minute, maybe, if that. She went through at least 10 to 15 different songs in less than 10 seconds of it, where it's like clips of something talking about objectifying a woman, having sex with a woman, her head game, her vagina game, her, how she can throw it back, how she can dance, how she can shake ass, all of that. But it's not a problem. That's on the radio. That's, mainstream. That's on the top 10. But I feel like people be uncomfortable the same way that, in a sense, think about with movies. The same double standard is flipped, where it's like females can be portrayed with a vagina showing, they tits showing, ass showing, all that. Dudes, you might get some ass action, which is cool, to each his own. However, you hardly ever will see somebody full nudity from a male, is what I'm saying.
Right, yeah, that's factual.
But that also goes back to shit. Goes back to fucking 1400s, 1500s. The male gaze is real. How females are depicted. How we have a certain image to present. How we have certain traits that... Same with the European standard of beauty. There's a certain type of woman or ideal of how a woman looks that are traits that make them ideal for a man, or generally the most beautiful woman in the world, or the fact that they can even have lists like that.
Right.
They have certain qualities. For white women, it may be smaller asses, perky tits, whatever. For black women, it's thick hips, big titties, big ass, fat pussy, all that. Like, being real. Like, state. That's what it is. But it's like when females talk about it, the Miss Mulatto or Megan Thee Stallion, Ruby Rose, all them, they got a problem with it. But I feel like part of it is denial. Like, you mad because you don't want to admit that. You want to bump the fact that this female is talking about bouncing on long dick. Which I understand, sure. But it shouldn't be that big of a deal when you guys have no problem talking about hitting a female, passing her to the bro, and then some more stuff. Like, why we gotta feel problematic by even talking about dancing and stripping? Why is that so much of a big deal when females are getting paid to get looked at? Not touched, not having sex, literally looked at. Maybe a little dancing, but ultimately, that's something that, being a black woman, being somebody who has danced, like, that's something I've encountered. Where
so I hit a little more close to home.
Absolutely, in that sense where it's like, I'm sexually free. I'm not gonna call people who aren't so open to talk about sex life or whatever a prude, but however, outside of that, I am not a prude. I'm very open about my sexuality, about what I do, what I'm willing to not do. I'm very clear about things like that. I dance. Right. I'm open about that. Absolutely. Why would I be ashamed of being paid for being looked at? Not touched, not being danced on. I was going to the bars, hanging out with friends, partying every week, couple times a week, but I'm getting molested by dudes I may have encountered before, or people who are just wild and drunk. I'm getting paid to get looked at, not touched. They will get kicked out if they lay one finger on me. Right. Why is that such a stigma? That's something I eventually do want to get into because I think that's so curious.
Definitely.
Like,